Hey, it's Caroline with Fleet Feet, and today we are reviewing something really exciting. We've got the HOKA Cielo X1 on deck. This is their new carbon-plated super shoe. It's designed for road races, anything from the 5K to the marathon, and it's really designed to help you go as fast as possible, and who doesn't love that? The Cielo weighs in at 7.4 ounces for the women's model and 9.3 ounces for the men's. This shoe has a heel stack height of 37 millimeters and 30 in the forefoot for the women's model, and 39 millimeters in the heel and 32 millimeters in the forefoot for the men's model. And this is actually the highest drop that I personally have seen from HOKA. Now, I don't know if maybe there are other secret shoes out there with a 7 millimeter drop from them, but the most I've seen from them has been 5 millimeters. So that's an interesting change from them. This shoe is gonna be a road racing shoe. It's categorized as neutral, and it's retailing for $275. Now, as I mentioned before, the Cielo X1 is really built from the ground up for speed. So that means it's got a dual layer midsole with Pebax foam, which is the lightest and most responsive foam that you'll really find in a shoe. So it's got 2 layers of that, and in between those 2 layers is a carbon fiber plate, the main element of the shoe that we've all come to know and love from any race day super shoe. And that is gonna be winged. What that basically means is, and you can kind of see it here on the sides of the shoe, is that the carbon plate comes out here on both the medial and lateral sides of the shoe, and what that's gonna do is add a little bit of extra stability for your stride. While we wouldn't categorize this shoe as stability, it does make it a little more stable than some of its other race day shoe counterparts. So it's a really nice combination of stable landings and takeoffs, as well as some energy and propulsiveness. Now, 2 of our reviewers, Kate and Max, loved this shoe so much. Kate said that it felt like she had springs on her feet, and Max compared it to the feeling of running on one of those moving walkways on an airport. I wasn't as in love with this shoe as they were, which is okay. We all have our own preferences. I tend to prefer a little bit of a softer foam underfoot. I felt like this was just a tad too firm for something that I would choose for a race, but it performed really well. I took it on a couple of progression runs, and I really felt like I was able to nail my paces in this shoe. It's also a little bit heavier than what I've come to expect from a super shoe. Weighing in at that 7.4 ounces for the women's size was a little bit more than what I'm used to, but again, it does have a lot of foam underfoot, so it's really designed to help be not only propulsive, but comfortable as well for those longer distances. Another thing to note about the Cielo X1 is the upper. So it's got this really nice knit upper. It's not a one-piece upper as some knit uppers tend to be. The tongue is a little bit gusseted, so you can really customize the fit of your shoe with the laces. It's got a nice lockdown fit. The only thing to note is that it's unisex sizing. So I am usually a 6 or a 6.5. I received a 5.5 men's, and I felt like it was a little big. I could have gone down a half size. Kate and Max, who both loved everything about this shoe, they felt like it was perfect fit, true to size. So I would recommend trying this shoe on in store if you're a woman and you're used to women's sizing and you're not quite sure where you would fall on a scale of unisex sizing, just to err on the side of caution. But other than that, we thought it was a really great fit, and we appreciated the gusseted tongue and these laces. Another thing we noticed that really helped lock down the fit is this slight heel padding on either side of your heel, and that's just gonna hold your heel really firmly in place. I tend to have narrow heels, so I experience a lot of heel slippage in shoes when I can't tie that marathon loop, which you're not gonna be able to do in this shoe because there are no extra eyelets on the side, but I didn't have any problems. I don't know if that was because of the extra padding in the heel or just cinching down the fit really well. Another thing we do wanna call out is the difference between the HOKA Cielo X1 and the HOKA Rocket X2. Now, both of these shoes have carbon fiber plates in them. They've got PEBA midsoles, and so they're really gonna deliver a similar ride, but there are some key differences. So the Rocket X2 is quite a bit lighter than the Cielo, and it also has a slightly higher stack height. For speed work, I did some mile repeats in them, some harder efforts on the track, and I found this to be a little more in line with the soft to firm ratio that I'm looking for. However, if you do want something that's a little bit firmer, I would go with the Cielo X1. And again, this is all based on my opinions. You really have to try the shoes on to get a feel for them for yourself, but I can tell you that our reviewers, Kate and Max, really preferred the Cielo X1. Now, another shoe that I have to mention if I'm going to be talking about the HOKA Super Shoe lineup is the Carbon X3. This shoe is marketed a little bit more as a speed work and tempo shoe, not a true race day shoe. It does have that carbon fiber plate in it. I found this shoe to be the firmest of all 3 shoes, so again, not something that that I wanted to pick up for my hard efforts or long runs at races. But again, this is a nice option as well if you're looking for something fast. No matter what your preferences are, I do think that you can find a race day shoe that fits from the HOKA lineup. Now, with all that being said, the HOKA Cielo X1 is a really great shoe for runners who are looking for something fast and they appreciate a stiff, firm platform to sort of act as a lever to push off from when they're giving it their all. It's also a little bit of a more stable option compared to other super shoes out there because of that winged carbon plate, and it's got a little bit of a wider base to it. If you're looking for a super shoe with those two elements, you're definitely going to want to check out the HOKA Cielo X1, and I know HOKA enthusiasts everywhere will be dying to check out this shoe. So be sure to check out the HOKA Cielo X1 when it launches on March 1st at your local Fleet Feet store or online at fleetfeet.com.